Call to order the regular school board meeting of Monday, April 19th, 2021. We'll do a roll call attendance. Dewey,
Yes.
Missy,
Yes.
Lloyd, Wendy,
Here.
Jim,
Here.
Dale, Dale, I can see him. Can you hear us, Dale? Okay, Dale's here. And Rebecca
Yes.
here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
Here.
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it
Here.
stands, one nation, under God,
Here.
indivisible, with liberty
Can you hear
and
me now?
justice.
I'm here. I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, please rise. Recognition of visitors.
Yeah, I did not have anybody that asked to speak to the board tonight in the open forum.
Okay. Approve agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Motion by Dewey. There a second?
Missy?
Second by Lloyd. We'll do a roll call
Yes.
vote.
Jim?
Dewey,
Yes.
Missy, Lloyd, Wendy, Jim,
Yes.
Dale,
Yes.
Might just be delayed.
Still no log again? Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what the,
Unless I just go on.
yeah.
Rebecca?
Rebecca, yes. Motion carries.
Over.
Cobra Pride,
I wanted to recognize our state champs. We had a threesome that was the three state champs for state BPA. Muriel Faber, Natalie Robinson, and Kaylee Ellingson. Those three were the state champs, but I also wanted to recognize we had three that were in second place for our broadcast news team, Talia Kelly, Caitlin Krupa, and Lydia Stanton, and also 8th place in interview skills, McKenna Jensen. So another great showing by our BPA team. Yes, yes, national is virtual.
approve consent agenda. Is there anything anyone would like to pull out of the consent agenda? If not, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve.
Motion by Jim. Second by Missy. We'll do a roll call vote. Dewey, Missy, Lloyd,
Yes.
Wendy,
Yes.
Jim, Dale, and Rebecca, yes. Motion carries. New business, 7.1, discuss approve business management and support services recommendation and agreement.
Yeah, this is just our renewing our contract with business management and support services. Currently, that's Amy Lake. She does a great job and would like to recommend that we renew that contract and continue to use that service.
Are there any questions?
Move to approve 7.1.
Motion by Jim,
I'll second.
second by Wendy. We'll do a roll call vote.
Yes.
Dewey,
Missy,
Missy,
Lloyd,
Lloyd,
Wendy,
Wendy,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Dale, and Rebecca, yes. Motion carries. 7.2 enrollment update.
Yeah, and remember, I started recording this a little bit different, so just wanted to show you the updated numbers. You can see those there. We are down a total of, if you look at the K-12 students, we're down 18. Kind of an anomaly this year, and I did discuss this with Mr. Luderman. The big number that we're missing is we have 10 juniors that we've lost since the beginning of the year. Kind of a weird thing, but we had a couple move. We actually had 3 students that dropped out, which is very abnormal, but all 3 very unique circumstances where they did not feel like they were going to finish and did not want to try and felt like they wanted to just pursue life. So we had 3 of those, and then we had a couple that moved. So it looks like a big number, but we reviewed that, and those are all legitimate changes, if you will. So that was the big change. Otherwise, there's pluses and minuses that you typically see throughout the school year.
Are there any questions? 7.3 student council report.
I talked with Mr. Luderman. Did you want to address this at all, or Ms. Swanson? But really did not have anything specific that they wanted to report for tonight. Anything you want to add? If you want, just go ahead and speak up. Go to the.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just hit the unmute button on the bottom left. Bottom left. There you go.
He's on my phone a lot. All right, so the student council folks have been, they led a 3-on-3 basketball tournament during advisory time, just for some fun and get kids engaged in an activity this week. They are now working on planning a pancake breakfast, so you can tentatively mark your calendars for May 23rd to have some pancakes. Not sure if that'll be at City Hall or here at the school yet, but they're working on getting that figured out. And that's it. So.
Thank you. 7.4 Z report. Lloyd?
Well, hopefully we've been passing along a lot of paper stuff from information from Zed. We've been getting, we had a meeting last week. The facilities are moving along, the bids went really well. They still have a couple. We didn't talk about that much the other night, but I see that there's about 3 things you have to get bid. The steel, there's a
Steel's at an all-time high.
there was a couple of things, let's see. There was 3 parts of it, but they're coming in, they figured at this point they're roughly $500,000 under what they expected. And then there was a list of all the contractors, they had like 180 bids. And then there's, well, I gave Craig an updated, they had a mistake, or, well, it wasn't a mistake. Somebody pulled their concrete bid at the end. So they had to go with the next guy. And it was, but there is, for what it's worth, I think Johnson Hardware got one of the bids. I believe Dale works for them. They got the door and, but anyway, They're hoping to have maybe a groundbreaking in June. They might start some work ahead of time, but they gotta figure out the logistics of having a groundbreaking and, you know, place to park or whatever and people to show up. The summer academy, they're gonna still have it. But it'll be at Casson, but it's gonna be, maximum 170 students. Generally, they've had like 400 enrollment, but they're cutting back on that. The ESY is still gonna happen. It's at Pine Island and Hayfield. But they're having trouble finding people to work. Either people are burned out, generally, you know, a lot of teachers have signed up for that, but either they don't feel they need to or don't want to, or they're burned out or, you know, whatever.
Been a long year.
So that's one of their issues with that, but they'll figure it out somehow. They did get, there's a company, but I don't know what they do. SLK Consulting is donating $8,000 for ALC graduates. They haven't decided how it's gonna get divvied up. First time scholarship been awarded. Well, so you need population anyway, whether some are gonna go on, move forward, schooling or what all. And, well, a couple months ago, we did have a revised budget. Most of the change on that had to do with the Pine Island settlement. And you know, like maybe missed some stuff along the way here, but they're real happy. Oh yeah, the bids came in at 2.46, and they were looking at as of April 1st, they were 2.8.
Yeah. And
so the thought or the thinking is that it could save like 350,000 over the life of
the bond.
So they're real happy with that. And so right now everything's moving forward. Hopefully they can, yeah, some of the contract stuff is building issues. I mean, it's being able to get stuff. Could be an issue, but anyway. I don't know if there's any questions. Kind of general review.
Thank you, Lloyd.
Thank you, Lloyd.
Well, just, there was only 3 people there. Everybody's still on Zoom. There was a director, board chair, and I did go, yeah, myself. But I'm getting tired of Zoom.
Thank you.
Thank you. 7.5 principals report.
Yeah, if you want to just go up to the,
See if I can figure it out. Tim, is it already on mute?
it's on unmute, so you should be good to go.
All right. Can you see my
Yep.
face then?
Yep.
Just your face. Okay. Sorry. Good evening, everybody. Principal's report, just finished up reading tests. For MCAs, we're starting up with math this week. So we have 2 days of math and we just kind of spread it out. Is MA for 5th grade. Kindergarten roundup for those of you who have kindergartners, or if you know of kindergartners that have not registered yet, please send them our way and have them call the office so we can get them registered. We are having kindergarten roundup on April 27th. It is going to be in person, and we are allowing one family member. We're going to try and be as spaced as possible. We kind of have it all figured out between the kindergarten team. We'll be in person next week. This student, we get so busy with reading and math, sometimes we can plug your ears, but we want to make sure that we continue to science. So I just included some science pictures here. So on the left is 2nd grade, and they're growing different types of plants in different types of soils. Kindergarten, if those of you who have had kindergarten or will have kindergarten in the future, you can see the goldfish habitat.
in each day they add something new to their habitat and they journal about it, and they talk about it, and how they're gonna change and different things. And then we had the adoption on Friday to those families. We had one teacher that came down today, she said, we still have our goldfish from like years ago, so you never know. And then if you go to the next screen, it is Billy, who dedicates her time to making maple syrup and invited the kindergarten out. So it was our first field trip out of the building into Billy's farm. And again, we had to have to get kind of fussy, but we were able to go out there and do the field trip. We will have some more field trips coming, and just making sure that we're mindful of transportation and the spacing and all that. But we're starting to get out of the building, which is nice to try and get somewhat back to normal and good opportunities for our students. So we appreciate all the work that other people are doing, and that's what I have for you today. Any questions? All right. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Also at the middle school, we are in the midst of MCA testing. Last week on Tuesday, we did our reading MCA test.
Can't see you.
Can't see me. Gotcha. There I am.
Yeah.
We did the MCA reading test last Tuesday, where we took the entire morning, finished up that test. This week on Wednesday, we'll do the same thing for our math MCA test. And then the last week of April, we'll wrap up with our 8th grade science MCA test. I'm trying to look behind you, the Family Flex students, 6th through 8th grade, we've held very steady at 14. That number's been pretty much there since we've all come back into school. And it surely feels very good to have middle schoolers in 5 days a week. Coming off of the holiday break there, we had a 4-day week, and last week we had a 5-day week for the first time. And we're excited to have the students getting back into more of a regular school flow. With our schedule, we use block schedules on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And on Friday, we have our 1 through 8 period days where we call that our skinny schedule. So that would be the schedule that we typically have used in years past. And those days seem to fly by because we're not as used to the skinny schedules. This week, after the MCA test for math, we are going to have an award assembly for all of our students that made the A and or B honor roll in the first, second, or third quarter. We are also going to recognize our 4.0 students. We are going to do that virtually from the middle school office. Mrs. Johnson has put a lot of work in making this a reality. Her and I will be on a Google Meet, which is our middle school version of Zoom, basically. And we have a drawing where kids will win, our students will win different prizes, and they'll come down. We've done these type of award assemblies in the past. Usually it's happened in the PAC or in a gymnasium, but we're trying to keep it going to make it as much like normal as possible for the students. I know we have some excited students for that day, Wednesday after MCA test. The last thing that I just wanted to shout out all the teachers, with the schedules continuously changing and being all back into school 5 days a week, it puts added pressure on the teachers. Still trying to connect with those students if they go out in quarantine or a family flex situation. Our staff continue to go above and beyond to make it as productive as possible situation for our students. You can go to the next slide. This past month, I did have an opportunity to meet with the extracurricular committee. We met and talked about the first couple seasons of the school year, and we are in full go for our spring season. To say that the activities this year have been a challenge would be an understatement. Protocols are constantly changing. Weekly, we get updates from the state on what we have to try to accomplish with our programs in order to keep them going. Our coaches have done a fantastic job staying on top of those protocols, and I'm proud of the opportunities we've been able to provide for our students thus far at Triton. Our golf teams, our softball teams, our baseball teams, and track and field and trap shooting are all going. Our numbers continue to grow. I think it's a little unusual this year where we're still seeing students joining sports. Even as late as last week, we saw some students that were still registering. We've had some students that have begun in one sport, and instead of just saying we're not going to do anything, they might migrate over to another sport. We also have a few students that are playing multiple sports this year. I know that Kim has a track athlete that's also golfing, and we have a baseball player that also wants to dabble with some golf. So it's working out, and that also shows the collaboration of our coaches allowing our students to to participate in multiple programs. These are just a couple pictures that I stole from a couple of the games I was at and from Twitter from the junior high track meet that's going on. You can go to the next slide. Before I get into the bullet points here, I just want to talk a little bit about track. We are still without our running surface out on the track. However, we've been hosting track meets. Coach Swanson and her staff have hosted 2 meets now, 1 meet for sure, and a couple, 1 so far and 2 this week. So there'll be about 3 meets that we are hosting. A couple of them are at Byron, and the last one was at Pine Island. To put into words how difficult it is to host a track meet when it's not in your facility, it's hard to put into words. So thank you, Coach Swanson, for your work, making it possible. I know the other schools are happy because it gives them the opportunity to compete. And quite honestly, everyone likes to come to Creighton for the track meets because of how well our staff does running the meets. When I say our staff, I mean the coaching staff of the track and field program run top-notch track meets to the point where this year we will have true team, and also looks like we may have sections. In order for those 2 big events to take place, though, we're really hoping for some warm weather so we can have a running surface to run track here. Because we don't want to put Tim on the road trying to run those big meets.
I got that in my update.
You have that in your update, all right. Section placements came out. For those of you that have been around for a while, every 2 years, the state realigns the sections. And we didn't know if we would remain in section 1 or if we maybe would be moving to section 2. We were a section 2 school for a number of years in the majority of our sports. Back in 2005, we started to migrate to section 1, and then it was around 2011 that we went most of all our sports in section 1. Nothing has changed for us. We will remain in section 1 for the next 2 years for all of our sports, with the exception of boys and girls soccer. Our soccer teams will be competing in section 2. What does that mean for schedules? It doesn't mean much. It doesn't mean anything until the postseason. It just means who do you play in that section round of games. For football, it doesn't change whatever section we are in. It wouldn't change who we play during the regular season. It just depends on who we would play in section. Conference schedules, all that is not dependent upon sections. It's just the postseason events. So we are section 1 moving ahead for the next 2 years. I already said that our coaches have done a great job with protocols for our sports. I can't say that enough. And I cannot say enough how many times it changes. The latest one is masks. Last week, the State High School League made a recommendation to the Minnesota Department of Health that students do not have to wear masks while they compete. As of right now, our students are still all wearing masks when they compete. So we're anticipating another change coming based around the mask mandate. OMC, if you remember a few years ago, we began our OMC program in the summer, and then we started continuing into the school year. We have a new strength and conditioning coach. His name is Nate, and he is doing an amazing job with our students. All of our programs are utilizing OMC even in season. For example, our baseball team lifts 2 mornings a week with the strength and conditioning coach, and it takes it off the plates of the coaches and it puts it into the hands of an expert in strength and conditioning. And we're looking forward to rolling our OMC into the summer like we have the last couple of years. Finally, looking ahead for the summer, in addition to the OMC strength and conditioning programs, our basketball and our football and our volleyball teams are planning their skills and drills practices that will take place after the strength and conditioning. With the construction taking place around the school, it's going to be a little bit of a hodgepodge of where we can be and where we cannot be, but we're looking forward to having a lot of students here getting better at their activities. For the remainder of the report, I'd like to introduce Mrs. Breer, and she brought a couple other individuals. And I asked her to come here today to talk to you folks about FCCLA. They've put together a little presentation, and it's a program that's been taking place, and it's an activity that Cassie's been involved with for the last 3 years. This is year number 3, and something that we want to move forward and potentially add to the Schedule C. I talked to the extracurricular committee about it, but we thought it'd be good to inform the entire school board on what FCCLA is all about. Cassie, ladies.
Gotta make sure I stand close enough to the mic. All right, good evening. So everyone can see, the presentation there on your screen?
It's yeah, and it's projected to the
It's on
It's
the-
a core, huh?
on their book, Chromebooks.
Cool. Well, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Cassidy Greer. I'm the family and consumer science teacher here at Triton. This is my third year here, and like Mr. Van Beek said, my third year doing FCCLA. It's might be more of a newer organization, or formerly known as FLA or FHA, the newer version of that. So what is FCCLA? It's Family Career Community Leaders of America. It's not necessarily a club, but it's a career and technical student organization. So students who are part of FCCLA are part of a chapter for Triton, are part of the Minnesota chapter, and are additionally a part of the national FCCLA chapter. It goes hand in hand with the career and technical education that we have here at Triton through the Family and Consumer Science program. Okay. It values all sorts of things, which include leadership, character, community service, and then most importantly, those career and employability skills, which we know we ultimately want our students to have as they enter the workforce and leave us. So the FCCLA does those things all in a variety of ways.
Next slide.
The opportunities FCCLA offers our students is leadership opportunities, membership offers, like they could just be a member and get involved in the service activities, community service activities, or the fundraiser. They could even compete and do STAR projects. They can also choose to apply to be officers and have different various extra leadership roles as officers of FCCLA. With that, they can also compete in STAR projects or STAR events. We did have 4 people compete in STAR events this year. 4 went to regionals. We did have 2 state competitors, and we will have 1 moving on to the national competition in June. The STAR projects allow students to explore more areas of family and consumer sciences that they're interested in as a career. They can work on these projects as an individual, or some projects allow them to work as a group. Okay. The key thing about these is that all the projects require students to work with industry professionals on some level. So it not only gives them that ability to reach out to industry people, but also to make that connection and to have that network and start building their network and to find out what really is the best fit for them. So a few of the successes we've had at Triton, just within the last 3 years, sorry, this is kind of like my brag time about this organization and the students and what they've done in just 3 years. We've seen increased membership. The first year I had about 7 or 8 students involved, and we are now up to about 15 or 16, which is pretty good considering the COVID year that we have had. Multiple service projects. We worked last year. We worked really closely with Fairview Nursing Home, and we also had a partnership with Mindy at Huckleberry for providing a gift to South Donations and raise money for that. Unfortunately, we were going to use that money last spring to do some peer teaching and activities in the elementary classrooms, and then all sort of halted for COVID. So we didn't get an opportunity to do that, but that's one of our future goals for next year, hopefully. Along with that, we did a Kids Carnival fundraiser last fall, or a year ago in fall, and then we have increased our state or our STAR project participants, and as I said before, 2 state qualifiers, 1 national qualifier. And these are just a few pictures of all of the different things that the students get involved with, and it is a lot of fun. It's been a lot of work, lots of carnival pictures, because we were very, very proud of the carnival and putting that together and all the work and effort that it took to do that. So. Now I'm going to introduce Phoebe Farrell and Jasmine Marquardt. Okay, these 2 individuals have been involved in FCCLA for the last few years, and they're going to tell you about their experience with it.
Okay, so I'm Phoebe Farrell. I've been in FCCLA for 3 years, and so some activities like events that I have participated in is the carnival and the carnations to help raise money, and also community service events like going to the nursing homes. And some skills that I've gained so far from being in FCCLA is social skills. I am fine with talking to people a little bit more, and event planning has also become more something I'm interested in. Okay. I'm Dazzle Morker. I've been in this community, whatever, for 2 years now. And I participated in the carnival also and community service events like the nursing home. And I also did the carnations. And I did a STAR project this year, and I made it to state, and then I made it to nationals. And I have gained a lot of communication skills and time management from doing this project. Do you want to talk a little bit more about your project and what you did? Okay, I competed in teach and train, so I connected with a first grade teacher here in the elementary, and this was over distance learning. It was Thanksgiving-ish, and I had to teach it over Zoom because that was the model we were in, and I taught them a lesson on body language, because since we're masking, it's easier to see how people are feeling with their eyes and different expressions. And then I got the feedback from that. So, and she will be competing virtually at the end of June for that event. So. All right, so as we include FCCLA on all levels of training, looking at our profile of a graduate, this instills all of those skills. It instills and strengthens all of those skills, profile of a graduate: communication, resilience, work ethic, the problem solving. Oh man, the problem solving. It is a student-led organization, so I kind of just ask the kids, what are you thinking? What do you want to do? And then I am there to help them facilitate in ways that I can. Along with their self-awareness, critical thinking, in all of the events that we do and that we get involved with. It also allows them to explore interests that meet the career gaps that we are currently seeing in our area: hospitality, along with childcare, and education. We're seeing those gaps not only in the region, but throughout the state of Minnesota. And then also FCCLA will receive Carl Perkins grant support, okay, because I'm CTE certified. 35% of the salary that I would receive if added to Schedule C would come back to the district through that levy, along with any sort of funds given to the organization.
Thank you. Any questions for these guys that you might have? I guess basically the way I would explain it is, much like we have an FFA group, we have a BPA group. This is another type of group. It wasn't currently on our Schedule C. And kind of the way we've gone about adding programs is we'll add it. Let's see if kids are interested. And if we see an interest and we see a growing interest, then we'll look at adding a paid advisor. And we've done that with, we did that with trap shooting. We did that with BPA. We've done that with other programs. So what I would like to do at this point is, if you have any questions for these guys, ask them. But I would like to bring this next month to the board to approve as adding a position on Schedule C.
We have any questions?
No?
That means you did a really good job. Thank you.
That's great, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I forgot I gotta go in here. All right, appreciate your time this evening. I'm gonna have to turn around a little bit to remember what's on my slide there. Some of you may have seen this information on Facebook or Twitter perhaps, but a week ago, actually I'll go back a little further, about 2 weeks ago, I received a phone call from the WEM Foundation, and they said that we had a staff that would be receiving this award that accompanied $15,000 as a personal gift for an instructor. And I remembered it was one of those things where I was approached to write a letter in support of Rebecca for this. And as the school year goes, you kind of forget about the things that are out there a little bit. You know, you're dealing with the immediate and what's going on today and tomorrow and what you're preparing for. So kind of forgot this was out there, but was really, really pleased to receive a phone call to help facilitate this. And it was a really cool day. I managed to keep this thing a secret for like over a week, which is a challenge for me because especially with good news, I wanted to shout this thing. So, but I had to coordinate a few things because we need to have John, the spouse, here. And so I was like, if you can keep it a secret, John, I can too. So we worked together on that, and we're able to recognize Rebecca for this award. They had the person from the WEM Foundation was zoomed in to the PAC for our staff meeting in the morning. So her husband was there, and I didn't know this. He surprised me with this. He had her whole family on FaceTime, so her mom and dad, so on and so forth. So a pretty cool time, pretty cool thing for our staff too. You know, I think Shane and Mary both had mentioned this, that our staff continue to do an amazing job. And I know I say it every single month, but really I could have my whole report on the job our staff have done this year. And you know, what made me reflect and think about that was, you know, Rebecca did not know that she was going to be receiving an award. I told her I want to talk about something with Schoology. Okay. So she says, yeah, whatever you need. She showed up to the meeting. She stood up there, but she was very reflective just in the minute or two that she had while receiving the award. And, you know, a statement of, I love my team, I love my students, and I love what I do. And that piece, it just does not, it's not the case everywhere. So it was a cool time for our staff to recognize another, and was really just thrilled and proud to be a part of that. So if you see Rebecca, make sure you congratulate her. Pretty cool day. All right, a staffing update. As you can see from the personnel items on the agenda, it's been a busy place in terms of HR and HR work. So some new staff we're bringing on, and Shane will invite you to share too with this piece. But the first one you'll see there is Elena Johnson. She'll be joining our special education department. She is an MSU Mankato grad and is currently completing her student teaching in Rochester. Statements like the best student we've had in a long time, the best student we've had student teach, accompanied the calls on Elena. So excited to have her on our team. The next one I believe we have there is Sadie Short. The name might sound familiar to some of you because the Short family resides in Dodge Center here. She's currently finishing up her experiences at North Butler Schools in Iowa, student teaching there, and very excited to bring her skill set to our district here this fall in our English department. Believe Jacob Johnson is on there as well. Believe he was probably a personnel item in January or February, Mr. Schlichting. Don't know if he's on this one or not, but he's going to be joining us as a business instructor. He's currently a long-term sub in Fergus Falls. And a cool thing about Mr. Johnson that he runs a business that does escape rooms. If you've heard of that as a business on the side. So maybe we'll do a school board meeting escape room or hold a session with everybody sometime. So the one thing that's neat with the new staff, and I know Shane will share a few more words here too. I believe we're fortunate. The world of finding highly qualified staff is a challenge, and I know there are some folks in the room that have been involved in interviews as well. I believe that we're going to improve each and every year, and obviously attracting and retaining a high quality staff is very important with that. So pretty excited with where we're going there. Shane, would you like to add a few things?
I'll start off by piggybacking with all of our candidate pools. This go around for our main hiring season right now, it's been very full of quality candidates. So the ones that we were fortunate enough to select and they accepted the position here at Triton, we think that we're definitely making additions to our team. We're looking forward to them. Jennifer Wheatonbach will be teaching seventh and sixth grade language arts in the middle school. She most recently has been a teacher and an instructional coach at Casson Manorville Middle School. We had an opportunity to interview her for an instructional coach a few months prior. We were blown away with her at that point, and when the language arts position opened up, we were very excited to see her name in the candidate pool, and we're very excited to see Jennifer join our team at Triton Middle School. We also had an opening in the physical education and health department at the middle school. Another very strong candidate pool applied for those positions. And we selected Kayla Richardson, who is a graduate from Byron High School. So she's a local student. And then she's currently long-term subbing in the Owatonna School District. She was a December graduate. In the world of education, when you're a December graduate, you often end up subbing because there's not many schools looking for full-time teachers at that January board meeting. Kayla is interested in coaching here at Triton. She's currently coaching softball over at Owatonna, but she also has interest in the volleyball program here at Triton and potentially the girls basketball program. She was a 3-star or 3-sport standout athlete at Byron herself. And we're very excited to have Kayla join our team.
All right. We'll continue on here. Some upcoming events in the following slides. We'll explain these in a little more detail here. But for starters, MCAs this week, you've heard a lot of that, but our juniors, they take the math MCAs. So we'll start that here on Wednesday. Proud to announce, and hopefully if there's folks in the room that have children in the band or choir, we are going to do a concert this spring. So we're excited about that, and that'll be taking place the 11th of May. Prom, the 15th of May. I know we've talked about that a little bit at the meetings, and I have some additional information for everybody here tonight. A slight change. Those of you that have had a senior before, you probably remember the senior awards and scholarships and fine arts program that we do. We need to change that a little bit for this year. So what we're going to do is a senior awards night where seniors will come in. It'll just be a seniors only event for them and their families. And then the next day, we're going to have an academic pep fest to finish off the awards for our students the next day in school. So a slight change there. So I wanted to make sure that you're aware. And I know we have a meeting in May before this, but I want to bring up these items tonight. Seniors last day awards, baccalaureate will be here before you know it. So I want to make sure we're thinking about that. And then the practice for graduation, the last day of school for the rest of our students, and then the graduation on the 6th of June at 2 p.m. So I know in previous years, obviously we've had, and Mr. Schlichting, you can help me out, has it been 2 or 3 folks from the board that have helped out with the graduation?
Typically 3.
And we'd be looking for that for this year. So is there anybody that would be interested? I don't have a pen on me.
Patty's got it.
Will you make a note, Patty? Okay. Jim and Wendy and Dale, I assume. Missy, did you put your hand up too? Okay. Anybody else? It doesn't mean we have to stop at 3. I think we can have more than that, right, Mr. Schlichting? So whoever would like to join us is more than welcome. Okay. Okay,
Yep.
we'll go with that. And if you get home and you're thinking I'd like to, just communicate and we'll work through that. So, all right, we can go on to the next one, sir.
Gotcha.
All right, the details with prom. I could probably defer to our students and they could present this as well. We know it's a lot, right? No, you'll pass it. As you know, we did delay prom till the 15th of May, and now looking at the forecast from this weekend, we know it would have been fairly cold on that night. So we wanted to delay a little bit in hopes that restrictions would change, and we could have a more a typical type prom for our students, because it's our goal to provide them the best experience we possibly can. Grand March, the tickets for that, and I'll show you a little bit of a map of the gym on here too. Those are on sale the 27th and 28th of this month. Okay. And when parents come in to purchase those, each parent will be able, per student that's coming to prom, they will have 2. Okay. They'll be able to purchase 2 seats for Grand March. Okay. And once again, those sales are going on the 27th and 28th. And then when parents come in, they'll receive a wristband, and they'll receive a packet of instruction about where they're supposed to sit, what door they enter, the COVID preparedness plan, so on and so forth, so we can make sure it's a safe event for everybody. Okay. So the seniors will be in the main gym, the seniors and the senior guests. And the juniors will be in the West gym, but all students will walk through both gyms, and I'll show the plan to you for that here. When we get to the venue for prom, okay, there's dancing and dining in groups of 6. Okay, so what we're working through now, when students purchase a ticket, we had them write down, who would you like to sit by? Okay, which normally is not a problem if everybody decides, yes, if I want to sit by Craig, then Craig wants to sit by me. But sometimes it's not the case. So we're working through and putting a seating chart together the best we can for that. All right, we're gonna have some entertainment to start out for about an hour. And then at that point, we're gonna break up into 2 groups so we can actually do a dance and spread out. So then at 7:30, one group will eat, the other group will dance. We'll do that for an hour and change, and then we'll switch. Okay, so both groups have an opportunity to do a dance. It'll be a smaller group, which we needed to do to make sure we can space out accordingly. And then I know what you're thinking, if I don't eat till 8:30, you're like, yeah, I'm hungry at that time, right? So when the entertainment starts at the beginning, we'll have some snacks and refreshments available for students at that time. And then at the end of the night, the buses will depart here for post-prom at 11 p.m. It's a lot of information in a short window there. Any questions on that? And I believe Mr. Schlichting, the next slide should be kind of a map of the gyms here. Before I go into this, any questions about the general protocol? All right, so if you look at this, this would be the main gym or the east gym, and this is the west gym. Okay, so the students will be in the cafeteria. They'll walk down the hallway by Miss Greer's room. Okay, we'll announce their names. They'll walk through the east gym here, go through the middle, and then go through the northwest exit there. Okay, and then when they're out the northwest exit, they're gonna go into the west gym and walk this way. Okay, so the seating in the east gym is pretty straightforward, right? We have 21 spots here. All right, so that's 21 families here, and 40 over here. Okay, you'll note that that's the same for the graduation as well. Okay, and then here in the west gym, we have 30 spots of the bleachers, and then we'll have some chairs across from that. If you've been to the west gym before for a game, the chairs will be where the benches are most of the time. Okay. Questions? Make sense? Okay. The graduation piece. So one change from this from prom, each student will have 3 allocations for tickets. Okay. The exception is, and I've received a number of phone calls on this piece already, split families. Okay, so we're allocating 4 for those individuals. When you go through this, they have a calculator on the Minnesota Department of Health where you can put in the size of your facility or the fire marshal capacity, and then it tells you how many you can have inside your gym. Okay, so I have to go over here. But our gym capacity, if you put that in, is 375. Right now, we have 82 students in the class of 2021. So if you do the math and you add the staff, we get pretty darn close here. Okay, and I know this, the 25 extra, those are those additional for the families that are split. So right now, that number is not at 25, but I'm anticipating it'll be close to that. If guidelines change and they say we can have more, then we will. But working with Shane and knowing what we did for games, this amount of spots we believe will still be able to space out.
And we'll also be streaming, correct?
Streaming, yep, absolutely. Yep, there's a, I'm not sure what the formula is, but you enter the size of the space or the fire marshal capacity, and then it sends you what your updated capacity is based on the guidance currently. One piece I wanted to add, band and choir, we estimate that about 45 to 50 student performers. They're called performers, so you do not have to add them into the count because they will perform and leave. And then re-enter for the end of the ceremony. Any questions on that? So Here's a picture of the main gym. So the setup for prom is similar, so the graduates will be here, the stage will be here, the band will be here. So we have 21 spots on this side on each step, and we're going 3 per now. So it's gonna be a little bit more consolidated and condensed than prom, okay? And we'll go 40 on this side over there. The tickets, we have 2 days and evenings for parents to come and pick those up. They will have a number on them, and the number will correspond to a number that's on the bleachers. Okay, so pretty straightforward. We're gonna have a church there for 2 or 3, and they'll check in at the door, they'll have the ticket, they'll show it to the usher. They'll walk them and show them to their seats to make sure we don't have any crowding in the entry there. We're in the process of planning a golf cart parade afterward. One thing I've learned, we've learned collectively, is if you're going to do that, students should not drive the golf cart. Thank you, Jim. I was really scared a year ago when we were doing the prom one, and I heard the noise of the squealing tires coming back to me laughing. It's true. And then I don't know what happened, but there
was a bottleneck at the end, and they all had to stop because they couldn't have them all go through.
Absolutely. But I don't know, because we announced the names and the students left, and there was a certain gentleman that I won't name that was the last one to leave. He came back third. So I don't know how that happens in a parade, but obviously we want our seniors to be able to enjoy the event. So we'll have a parent or somebody that's 18 years plus drive the student in the golf cart parade. So. Future NASCAR, yep. That wasn't part of the curriculum. All right. I don't know if I have any more.
No.
Next. Any questions?
Will you email us the number that we currently have for the Flex Learning?
Yes, I looked at that today. I had 3 more that went back to it today, that came back to school. And I'm working with their parents because I received a message from the student, hey, I'm going back to Family Flex. I said, okay, we need to hear from your parents too. It's under 20. I want to say 15 or 18. Mr. Felton, do you have that up? And I can follow up and send you an email with the official count too.
We also have people that, you know, it's changed.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot with that.
I can email that out.
21.
I'll email that out and update this week.
Thank you. 7.6 superintendent's report.
All right, just a few things to go over here. I try to cover as much as I can in the weekly updates. Hopefully that's something you find useful. We did get updated information on the ESSER 3 that will be available, and I am going to email you a spreadsheet with all of the different things that we have used that for so far, and as well as some of the things that we're looking to use that for in the future. One thing that I've talked to Dave about quite a bit is we do have a handicap bus that's probably not going to make it through inspection, unfortunately, but one thing that we can use ESSER funds is maintenance of effort, because that is used for special ed students, so that would be a replaceable item through ESSER funds. So looking to try to do 1 or 2 buses yet with that money, because it's something we need, and it's a way to allocate that. So he did say that one of the things that kind of changes maybe a little bit. The diesel buses, as you know, we've gotten the last 3 we've bought of them in gas. He's been working with the company to figure out what the problem is with the emissions, and they said as long as you use your diesel buses for longer routes and they warm up properly, then you don't have as much of an issue with the emissions piece. So he is looking at possibly doing a diesel So just so you know why that would be different, but I'll bring that to you when the time comes. Apogee, I've talked a little bit about that. We're getting close to being done with the design phase. Ms. Goosens has been doing a lot of work with that. I'm really excited about it. A week from next week, we're going to have our first training, but before the school year's over, I'm thinking we may have an up and functional app. So we will have our own app for the school. Track next week, weather permitting, they are planning on being on site. So Benyon will be here, and I know Rochester Sand and Gravel was planning on, they were actually here this morning, but there is a little bit of work they need to do to level and smooth the surface, but then they could start as early as next week putting the track down. So that was good news. DocuWare, I've been working with Metro Sales. One of the things that we have as an issue is storage for documents and backup of those documents. All of our former transcripts and all of those kinds of things currently reside between the district office and high school office. Those aren't backed up, and we need to back those up. So there is a way to do that digitally, and they would actually come in and do the scanning. And records wise, there are a lot of things that we could get rid of the paper that we currently have. I know when we redesigned the district office, we eliminated, Patty, how many, I shouldn't say we, how many file cabinets? The ladies in the district office were able to eliminate a few, but there are still a number of file cabinets that we could reduce by getting those scanned and getting rid of the paper. So working with the company called DocuWare to get that done, and have a final meeting with them tomorrow, working on that. I did want to let you know that we did a big software upgrade with our cameras, and also did a little bit of hardware upgrade. Those are working much better. That was an issue that we were having. The good news is we're able to use our safe school levy money, and it was a lot cheaper than I thought it would be. It was really only around $4,000. And when I talked to Amy, she said that you know, we could easily afford up to 10. So having money that can only be used for specific purposes, and to know that we were able to get it done cheaper, that was a good thing. FFA convention, Mr. Ickler asked me to send you an email, so I sent you all an email. I'm just letting you know that I sent that. A lot of good information with that took place today. Next thing, IEA, did want to update you. They did do the sampling again of this carpet, and it did show asbestos again, so we do have to do the abatement. So even though they took the samples from the middle of the room, we do have to go through with the abatement. So whatever glue, and whenever this was supposed to have been abated in 1996, it wasn't done properly. That's all I can tell you. I don't know why, but it's still there. So we do have to go through the abatement process. And lastly, COVID update. We're really in good shape. Currently have 2 active cases. We've had a total of 85 for the school year, and currently we're quarantined. We did have a spike a while back with quarantines, but I think doing the tracking and tracing and the things that our staff are doing is really keeping a lot of that to a minimum, and I'm very pleased with where we're at. I know that the county numbers still fluctuating, but they're nowhere near what they used to be. So overall, I feel like the things that we're doing are working and making a difference. So any questions on any of those items? Awesome. Thank you.
7.7, any other new business? If not, can I get a motion to? Motion by Dewey, second?
Second.
Second by Missy, we'll do a roll call. Dewey, Missy, Wendy,
Yes.
Wendy,
Dale.
Jim,
Yes.
Dale, and Rebecca, yes.
Meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned. Meeting adjourned.